Dang, I gotta get me a sling. This is just not, it's not doing it for me. I'm gonna go check the bin, see if I got something. Let's see what we got here. We got that one, got this. So many, what the heck? There's so many options. This one will work. This will be perfect. Oh, yes. This is perfect. I can't wait to show my friends. What's up, guys? Welcome back to Range Logic. On today's episode, we're going over slings, why you might need them, all the different varieties that you can purchase, and why they're so important to the everyday hunter, all the way down to personal self-defense. So recently, Adaptive Defense came out with a couple new slings, and I've really been anxious to get my hands on them and give them a try. Previous to that, I've been using a lot of Magpul slings and other brands we'll talk about, but I wanted to give Adaptive Defense a shot and see how I feel about them. So we're gonna go through all the slings I have set up here and how some of them mount maybe differently than others, a little bit of price point and some benefits, pros and cons of each different sling. So let's go ahead and get right to it. We're gonna work from left to my right, and we're gonna go through all these real quick. All right, guys, so starting on the left here, we have the Magpul MS1 slings. I have a tan and the black one here and a couple different mounting options. This is your traditional QD push button, and then this is the hook style that has the lock on it. Pretty nice. You'll see these a lot on like AKs and stuff like that where they'll have the cable looped through the rail. It's pretty nice. It's not bad. It's secure. Once you lock it, it's not coming off. And then you go down. Here's your slider to adjust it. So you just pull that, and that would lengthen the sling. Pull back on it to shorten it up. And then you have all your other adjustment here so you can get it to within the window of length that you want for your particular firearm. And then down here I have another QD sling mount. This is a Magpul mount, and you have to push the buttons here on either side to kind of get it to unlock. This particular style is not my favorite. Depending on the gun that it's on, it can be kind of hard to get in there and disengage this lock. So that's kind of the Magpul one. It is a nice fabric here. They are sourced in the US. They are nice. They're a great sling. But, you know, it's just, I would consider it kind of a entry-level sling. Nothing special, but it's definitely going to get you by and do what you need it to do. Next up, this would be the absolute bare minimum sling that you could possibly get. This is just a piece of fabric. We have a loop here that could be attached to another sling swivel, and then just a QD mount here. This is, I believe, 1.5 inches, and it's just a basic one. It's very short. This would be for maybe like a hunting rifle or something like that. You're not gonna be able to get any extension out of it, so manipulating it with like an AR would be quite a bit more difficult with that. So this is just something that I've had. I think it was on like an old BB gun, but this is just your bare bones sling right here. So moving up, we have the Blue Force Gear Vickers slings, and we have a couple different versions of them. So this is the basic version, and theirs down here is where you would have your mount to go to the gun, and then you're gonna have your adjustment is this material, like triple stitched all in here, and it's very stiff, something you can easily grab onto, lengthen your sling, and then pull it back down to shorten the sling. And then you have those same adjustments that we had on the Magpuls, and then you would put your second sling swivel there. So this one is already set up. This was on a gun previously. This one is a little bit nicer, kind of a custom order job. But we have the sling swivel here, your adjustment tab. It's in a different camouflage pattern, and you can adjust it all the way out. Very nice. It's very smooth. It's soft, it's comfortable. And then all the way down to this side, have another QD mount. This one also has a single point conversion. So you can take your lead, you would disconnect it from the front of the gun, and you can connect it here, and now you would have a single point sling that you can manipulate. So that's kind of a step up from just the traditional Blue Force Gear sling. And I think that's a pretty nice add-on. It's something nice and it's out of the way. Whether you use it or not, you might never use it, but to have it there is pretty handy. So that's kind of the upgraded one. And then this one is the Blue Force Gear padded Vickers sling. So you got this nice padding here, and it is nice, it's soft, but it is pretty large. And your normal attachment point. This is where the front of the gun is on this one. Here's your adjuster, just the same as all the rest. And then the padding is gonna be on the back to go over your shoulder for when you're walking. And then this particular one you'll notice is different. This is set up for my AUG, which this is the rear takedown pin on the AUG, so it has all these detents. So instead of unwinding it, I just remove it from the gun completely. So those are the options for the Blue Force Gear Vickers slings. Very nice sling, very high quality, top of the line sling, without a doubt. So then we get to the Adaptive Defense Sling. This is the carbine sling. This is their smallest one, their thinnest sling that they sell. Up in the front here, just the QD. This is a 1-inch sling. So all the other ones have been 1.5 inches. Now we're down to a 1-inch sling. So it is a smaller QD point there. You're able to nicely thread everything in to keep it nice and tight. Come up, here's your adjuster loop, just like all the rest of them. Nice adjustment on it. And the adjuster itself is like a, I want to almost call it like a scuba webbing. It's the same material as the top of like a Crye Precision plate carrier for your shoulder straps. So it's a very nice material. It's kind of rubberized, and you can kind of see that it just stays there open. So, and then moving back, it is padded, but it does not gain in width. This is just like a, almost like a neoprene, just a very thin padded here, not very big at all. It doesn't move around inside. That was my first concern when I bought it, was that padding would like free slide inside of it. It doesn't move at all. It's perfectly fixed in place, but it does give you just a little bit of comfort on the back of your neck. And then back to this side, we have another 1-inch push button QD. These QDs, I believe, are the Adaptive Defense QDs. I believe. They could be another brand. If I can remember the brand before the end of the video, I'll let you guys know, but these ones are really nice. They have a nice push button on there. They don't come off. I've had some issues with other ones coming off. So these are very nice. So that's the Adaptive Defense Sling, and that's the one we're gonna focus on today. We're gonna jump the camera back, and we're gonna talk a little bit more in depth about this and how you might use these and run these different slings. All right, guys, we're back, and I had a quick edit from my editor and cameraman. These are, in fact, Blue Force Gear swivel mounts, the ones that I like with the nice detents on them. So if you're looking for some QD sling swivels, Blue Force Gear, I think, has the best over Magpul by far, and definitely recommended to not get some off-brand. This is your lifeline. This is what connects whatever brand sling you buy to your gun. It is the most important part. So with that, I forgot to talk about the best sling and the best choice for your Adaptive Defense Mark 18 would be a 1920s, I could only imagine, leather single point or dual point sling. So with that, I'm gonna show you guys how we install any sling, but we're gonna install this Adaptive Defense. So we'll get all this off real quick. There we go. And actually, I'm knocking on it, but it is actually a really nice leather sling. But this is something that you would see on a lever gun or a bolt action, some really nice rifle. Typically, ARs or fighting rifles, anything like that, you don't really see like a leather sling. It's just not practical. So, all right. So when you get your Adaptive Defense, it does come like undone. You know, you'll have to put your sling swivels in and backfeed all of your attachments here. And the way I did my attachment, I went through the sling swivel over the top and then went through the slider here and then back over the top to lock in that tab going forward. So I'll try to get some pictures and have them pop up now on screen so you guys can see like a really up close of the pattern of how I slung that through there. And I think that works really nice. It keeps it nice and clean and nothing to kind of snag up on. So this is our leading end. I am right-handed, so traditionally you would attach your sling to the left-hand side of the gun. So I go up as high as I can on the rifle, And I like to put it in, make sure it catches. I give it some twists. These are not rotate, they won't rotate, but I make sure I hit the limit on both sides and I give it a tug. I wanna make sure that that D10 is popped back out and that's on there. So we're good there. Then I just lay the sling out nice and flat. We can shorten it. And then your rear, you wanna flip around the other side of the stock and it's gonna connect right under this blue tape. Just like that, into the side, somehow, there it is. So make sure you find it, give it a twist, give it a tug. Now we're in there, perfect. So this is kind of how you want it to look for a right-handed shooter. It goes underneath the stock and into the opposing side of the stock. So when you're shouldered, this isn't hitting your face here, it's coming off this side, off behind your back. So we'll get some rounds loaded up here and we'll kind of demonstrate how you maneuver with the sling and with the adjuster and what that looks like. All right, guys, so we got the Adaptive Defense Sling all set up here. This is in the tightest position. So this would be if you're just walking around, you know, patrolling or LARPing in your backyard. So that's how you'd have this. If you want to loosen it, you just grab this just like that. And now you're fully loose. You can come up and engage targets. And then when you're done, right back to secure. It's held in nice and tight and we're really good. So I'm gonna go ahead and flip around these freaking bees. And now I'm going to stand and then we're gonna loosen it, one shot, and then we'll tighten it back up. I just want you guys to kind of see how working around a sling kind of works. So from here, loosen and engage if you add a round in the chamber. Safety back on, grab your sling, back in, and you'll be ready to go. So again, it's not a speed thing. If you're in some sort of situation, obviously you're gonna leave your sling just loose. But if you were like hunting in something and you had something similar to this, you could just come up here, loosen it, grab your sling, and you're ready to go. So then from here, notice the sling is still underneath my arm and over my neck, and I'm engaging like this. From here, you can bring your arm out of the sling, all right? You can still engage. Now it's just around my neck, so now you get plenty of free movement, all right? And then from here, if you wanted to safety the gun and you were walking, you could come down, sling your other arm through it, tighten it up, and now the gun's on your back, okay? So that's kind of how you can maneuver through a sling. Now I'm back to the neck, now I'm back to the arm, all right? So that's kind of convenient because a lot of times if you're walking like super long distances, and this is not like anything in the military because they're gonna carry their guns ready to go at all times. But you know, you're walking around on the property and maybe you just want it on your back. It's pretty nice to be able to just swim through the sling and get it around to the back. And then you have your hands free, whether you have your concealed carry on or whatever. So that's pretty convenient. I do like the size of this sling compared to some of the Vickers. This sling is, just because it's that 1 inch, and the Vickers, and I was mistaken again, it's 1 1/4 inches, it's not 1.5 inches, but being 1 inch, it is a lot thinner, and I kind of like that. I like the simplicity of it. I love this loop, being able to just snag this with my finger and just open the sling up, and it's always there. This loop, no matter how the gun is, that loop is there and it stays open. And I think that's really important. With the Magpul sling, you have that plastic slider, so it's the dimensions of your sling, you have to actually grab it and slide it up. And then with the Vickers, you have that fabric tab. And it's just a tab, it'll lay down flat and move wherever it needs to. And it is a thicker tab, but I like this because you can actually grab it with your finger. You're not gonna slip. Your hands could be wet and muddy. You can still grab this and open the sling up very fast. And I think that's kind of innovative, and I really like that. That's probably the favorite part of this sling. But this padding, if you can look at the back of my neck, that micro padding, it just kind of rests on the back of your neck and just takes off some of that strain, especially if you're out on the range all day. They do make a more padded, like DMR style sling, more like a load rated sling. And that one has more of the traditional padding like you'd see on the Vickers. But for me, I really love this one. And I just think it's a great fit. It's kind of everything I was looking for this Mark 18 build. I didn't want to go with something that was massive and cumbersome and kind of all clunky. I wanted something just streamlined, straight to the point, only what I need. So I think for that, the Adaptive Defense Sling really hits the mark. So we'll go ahead and get back to the table and wrap this up with my final thoughts. All right, guys, so with that, my final thoughts on the Adaptive Defense Sling and the other slings that we have here. I did want to show you guys how the adjustment tail on that Vickers from Blue Force Gear, that piece of material I was telling you guys about, how it's just kind of floppy there, you know, it just kind of moves around. It is definitely a very thick piece of material, but just worth mentioning that how it moves around. And then again, the Magpul one having that slider. So between these three slings, I feel like each sling has a purpose and a role. I use all of these slings on a couple different guns. I have them kind of in rotation, but to me, between these three slings, the Magpul sling is a very civilian, just over-the-counter sling. And that doesn't mean it's a bad sling. It just means it is more for the everyday user, the casual user. I don't know the durability, like military style use with this. This is not a military rated sling. It's not used overseas. I don't know how this would hold up super long term. My other concern is with this big plastic buckle in extended use outdoors with UV rays. Plastic and UV rays don't mix well. They do get brittle over time. Now that's years and stuff, but something worth knowing if you were to go buy one of these slings. But it is a nice sling, but I do consider it to be like the bare minimum type of a sling that you would want to get. The Blue Force Gear, on the other hand, is a military rated sling. This is used all over the world in militaries, and it's an extremely durable sling. It has load requirements to be a military sling. It has to hold a certain amount of poundage and weight and all those different things. So this is an extremely durable sling. Will probably last you a lifetime. Between this and the Adaptive Defense, I don't think you could really go wrong. The only two differences is the adjuster and the fact that this particular Vickers sling has no pad. Now it does have this sleeve that just kind of covers the buckle up here, but it doesn't have a pad. So if that's like a deal breaker for you, then maybe to look into getting either the padded Vickers or the Adaptive. So those are my thoughts on those. I think they're great slings. I love the Blue Force Gear, the Vickers sling. I would definitely go with this over the Magpul. But for me, and what I do on a daily basis, I am not in the military, and I am not what I would consider the casual consumer. I like to invest in companies and invest in people that, you know, small businesses and stuff like that. I know Magpul started out as a small business, but it is a large company now at this point. And I enjoyed Lucas, who now created Adaptive Defense. And when he started this company, I definitely knew I wanted to invest some of my money into his products and test them out and see what I thought. And I have been nothing but happy with this sling. I've been running it for about 6 months now, exclusively on the Mark 18, which, you know, it's suppressed. It's got all the bells and whistles on it. It's a pretty heavy gun. And I haven't had any fatigue issues or, you know, a big sore on my neck or anything from this smaller sling. So don't let the fact that it's only a 1-inch sling deter you from it. I think it is an extremely viable option for competition shooters and avid shooters and more of your avid shooters, people that go out every weekend to go shoot some rounds. I think Adaptive Defense is a viable choice. And I think it's a great sling. I do like their adjuster and how that, it does sag still, but look at that loop is nice and open and it gives you something to snag on. I think that's important. Whether if you got an injury to your hand and you couldn't manipulate this way, you can stick something through this web, whether it is the stump of your hand or your thumb, and get that to adjust if you needed to. So I really like that. And I encourage you guys to go to their website, check out all the rest of their slings, and they're coming out with new products as they start. They've been working on this company and they're getting it going. They're releasing new products and stuff like that. So I look forward to testing some of their other stuff, and I'll be sure to bring it here on the channel and show you guys all about it. So hopefully you guys enjoyed, and I didn't ramble too much. I know there wasn't a lot of shooting, but I just wanted to talk to you guys about slings this evening and let you know my thoughts. And if you guys have any questions, if you're looking for slings, any kind of sling, whether it's a leather one or a Magpul or just a generic one, if you have questions, let me know in the comments. I will read them all and I reply to them all. Thank you guys for sticking around. Hit the subscribe button and share this video to your friends that need a sling. And don't forget, have a nice day.